Hello everybody and welcome to another episode. In today's episode I'm going to show you how to completely replace and remove the entire timing belt kit along with the water pump from any Volkswagen Jetta with the engine 1.9 Tdi. So today I am working on this vehicle which is made into the year 2007 and the engine code is BXE. Right here, as you can see, this is a closer look of how everything is installed right here into the engine compartment. The engine is installed transversal, and on most of the vehicles it's installed longitudinal, but on this car it's installed transversal. This engine is installed on many different cars made by Volkswagen, Audi and Skoda. It's not installed only on Volkswagen Jetta, it's installed on Volkswagen Passat, Volkswagen Golf 3, 4, 5. It's installed on Skoda, Seat, Audis and so many other cars made by Volkswagen. So if you want to replace the entire timing belt kit, it's a very easy and straightforward job on this kind of vehicle. And the most important thing which I recommend you to do is to replace also the coolant and the water pump on this kind of vehicle. Every time you are replacing the timing belt kit, you have to replace also the water pump and the entire coolant from the cooling system. Right here into this box I have all the parts from the timing belt kit, and also right here on the right side in this little box I have the brand new water pump which is made by the manufacturer HOWTODO, and the timing belt kit is made by the manufacturer Continental. With all of these things being said, I'm going to go right here underneath the vehicle. I'm going to remove one hose from the radiator from the front side of the vehicle, and I'm going to remove all the coolant or some of the coolant which will leak out from the engine. And right here, as you can see, I already lifted the vehicle up and I placed it on a jack stand. I removed the right front wheel, and from this moment you'll have to remove this plastic shield from the wheel arch area. This little plastic shield which is secured with around 5 bolts. You'll have to remove it completely, and then you'll have to remove also the serpentine belt from the vehicle. Also you'll have to remove the tensioner from the serpentine belt, and only by removing this plastic shield you'll have access and space to work over it. As you can see right here on this timing belt kit cover, it writes the engine code, and on this vehicle it is BXE. This is a 1.9 Tdi engine with 77 kilowatts. Okay guys, right now I will go under in the vehicle. I'm going to locate the hose which I'll have to disconnect completely from the radiator, and in this way all the coolant will leak out from the cooling system. The hose which you have to disconnect is the one from the driver's side, right here in the left bottom from this position. And it is secured to the radiator with one metal clip which you have to completely compress, and in this way it will release the hose from the radiator. Just remove this hose from right here and wait for all the coolant to completely drain out from the cooling system. Alright everybody, so as you can see, all the coolant is coming out from the vehicle in this moment. Also, the vehicle is lifted up and is placed on a jack stand, and later into the process, you'll have to use the jack stand to support the weight of the engine, because you'll have to remove the engine mounting support, and if the engine have nothing to be supported with, you'll have to lift it and lower it with the jack stand. In this moment, I'm going to remove all the parts which are getting into my way of removing the timing belt kit on this kind of vehicle. You'll have to remove this hose which is coming out from the EGR to the intercooler. You'll have to remove the coolant reservoir, also the windshield washer cap, and also the fuel filter completely with the hoses and with the box, and you have to put it away over the engine. From this moment, just sit back, relax, and watch exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and in this way you will also learn how to do it on your car, at home and with normal tools. Okay everybody, so from this moment, the next thing which I'm going to do is to remove and disconnect completely the serpentine belt and the tensioner from the serpentine belt. To do so, you'll have to lock the tensioner into one position, and you have to use a 16mm socket, and you have to pull it towards you, like I'm doing right here, and with one metal pin, you'll have to lock it in place. After that, if you want to reuse the old serpentine belt, like I'm reusing it in my case, you'll have to take a marker, you'll have to do some arrows over the serpentine belt with the rotation of the engine. So normally it will be clockwise, you'll have to do some arrows clockwise, and then you'll have to install the serpentine belt after everything is done into the exact same position and into the exact same place, because in some cases, if you install it wrong into the opposite direction, it can break very easy or it can snap while you are driving the vehicle. So just take that in mind. Moving on with the job, right now the next thing which you have to do is to remove completely the engine mounting support. To do so, the first thing which you have to do is to take a jack stand. You have to take also a piece of wood and put it over the jack stand, and you have to put the jack stand underneath the oil pan, underneath the engine, and after that you have to lift up the engine just a little bit to remove all the weight from the engine mounting support. Then you can remove the engine mounting support completely out from the vehicle, and then all the weight of the engine will be supported by the jack from underneath. But be very carefully, because you don't want to push or break the oil pan. Always put a piece of wood over the jack stand and between the jack stand and between the oil pan, and also make sure to don't push it or lift it very hard, because in some cases, if you are not aware, it can crack or it can break the oil pan. So just keep that in mind, you'll have to be very carefully with all of these things. Okay guys, so as you can see, the engine mounting support is completely removed out and placed away from the vehicle. The next thing which you have to do is to remove also this metal plate from the side of the engine, and on which the engine mounting support is placed on. You have 3 bolts in total which are securing it mounted in place, and to remove all of the 3 bolts, you'll have to leave the engine up to give you clear access to the bolts, and then you'll have to remove it and place it back down, and so on until you are able to remove it completely from its place. Just follow exactly what I'm doing, and in this way you will also be able to do it yourself on your car. moving on with the job, the next thing which you have to do is to remove the crankshaft pulley, and to remove it you have to remove 4 bolts in total, which are securing it mounted in place, and then just pull it back and it will come out from its place. After it did came out, you have to make sure that when you want to install it back over the vehicle, you have to align the hole from the crankshaft pulley with the hole and the dot from the crankshaft. And only in this position you will be able to install it back over the vehicle. After that, the next thing which you have to do is to remove the tensioner completely out from the vehicle, and then all of these little bolts which are securing this metal plate over the timing belt. Alright everybody, so as you can see, this is the last metal plate which I had to remove to give me access enough to work on the timing belt kit and replace it completely. From this moment, the next thing which I'm going to do is to use some brake cleaner and some comprimated air to clean this area very good. And after that, the most important part which you'll have to do is to lock the engine into the TDC, into the top dead center. You have to use some special locking tools which are locking the camshaft at the top and also the crankshaft at the bottom from not moving around when you want to replace or remove the timing belt kit and all the parts from around it. And after that, you can proceed with the removal and replacement of all the parts. From this moment, the next thing which you'll have to do is to turn the engine clockwise a few times until all the tools which are locking it into place will fit correctly into the holes and over the arrows. I'm going to show you all in a few seconds what the tools are looking, how I have to install them, and where everything is going in. Alright everybody, so as you can see right here, those are all the details which you have to follow and use if you want to lock the camshaft at the top part. I'm not able to put my phone right here and show you all, but with this little mirror I can show you all the hole where you have to put the pin to lock the camshaft into place. And after you turn the engine, and if it's fitting perfectly over the hole, you can put the locking tool, the metal locking tool, inside it, and in this way it will be locked in place. So as you can see, I have the locking tool right here in my hand. I'm just pushing it into the camshaft, and as you can see, it's going almost all the way in. This is perfectly. This is how yours also should be working and looking. And right here at the bottom, as you can see, this is a special tool which it has an arrow on the right side. As you can see, it has an arrow at the top, and it should be facing perfectly with the arrow from the bottom from the crankshaft. So both of the arrows should be facing one over each other, and in this way the crankshaft is also secured and placed correctly into the TDC. And from this moment, with the engine placed correctly into the TDC and locked correctly in place, I can disconnect and remove all the parts which I have to replace today on this vehicle. And we have to start with removing the bolt from the tensioner and turn it anti-clockwise to remove all the tension from the timing belt. Then you have to remove just a little bit the 3 bolts from the camshaft, because the camshaft pulley should be moving freely left and right before you want to install the new timing belt kit over the vehicle. And then you can go ahead and disconnect all the pulleys from the bottom, the water pump, and also the belt completely out from the engine, and install the brand new one into its place. Okay guys, so as you can see right here, the timing belt is completely removed out from this engine. It's looking pretty bad, and from what I can see, the manufacturer of it, it's Daico. It's still a very good and high quality manufacturer, but in my case, I always try to replace it with Continental ones or the original ones. One very important tip which I want to give you all is that over the top camshaft, the locking tool is not going in very easy, or if it's going in a little bit harder, you can always use an 18mm key and just turn right or left the camshaft until eventually it will fit perfectly and the locking tool will go in very easy and very nice. And sometimes the locking tools will not go in at all, or it will go in very hard, and this is because the previous mechanic didn't lock in place correctly before, or because the timing belt kit broke or broke one teeth or something like that, and the timing belt was misaligned just a little bit. If you encounter problems like this one, I recommend you to always align first the crankshaft from the bottom with the locking tool perfectly, and then remove the timing belt kit, and you'll have to align by hand the camshaft with the 18mm key, and you'll have to turn it left or right until eventually the locking tool will fit correctly and perfectly into the hole, and in this way the crankshaft from the bottom and the camshaft from the top will be aligned one with each other 100%. Right in this moment, as you can see, I'm removing all the bolts from the water pump. I'm pulling the water pump out from the vehicle, and after the water pump is removed out, you'll have to take a sponge or something like that. You'll have to clean the area where it was installed very good, and then you can proceed with the installation of the brand new one. Alright everybody, so as you can see, the engine is cleaned very good. The area where the timing belt kit is installed is looking great. Also, the brand new water pump is prepared to be installed back over the vehicle. And the only thing which I recommend you all to do is to take some coolant and lubricate the O-ring from the water pump just a little bit, and then just push it back into the engine and tighten it in place. You will have to tie the bolts from the water pump to 50 Newton meters. Okay guys, so the brand new water pump is installed and tightened to spec back over the engine. From here, I'm going to go ahead and install back the tensioner. The tensioner should be going right here underneath the camshaft with this little bracket into the engine block. So always make sure that the tensioner is locked correctly into the hole from the engine block. Right here underneath the camshaft, you'll have one hole into the engine block, and in that little hole the metal part from the tensioner should be going in. If the metal part or if the metal bracket from the tensioner is not going in into the engine block and is not placed and locked in place, you are not able to install the timing belt, you are not able to tighten it and put any tensioner over the timing belt. So just make sure that the tensioner is installed correctly into the hole and locked in place. As you can see right here over the mirror, the tensioner is correctly fitted into the hole and right now is locked in place, and I can proceed with the installation of the belt and with all the parts from the timing belt. From this moment, I'm going to proceed with the installation of the brand new timing belt over the engine, and in my opinion, the way I'm doing it is the best way out there and the safest and easiest way to do it. Always put it first over the crankshaft, then pull it over the water pump while you are holding it from not moving out from the crankshaft. Then pull it out over the camshaft, but make sure that the camshaft is locked into the middle part, half left and half right. It should be moving clearly, but you have to put it into the middle. Then in my opinion, I always like to pull out the tensioner just a little bit halfway outer, and then the belt can be pulled over the tensioner very easy, and in this way the tension can be applied evenly. After that, in the last part, after the belt is installed, I always like to install the smaller guidance pulley from the bottom in the last part. Okay guys, so as also the timing belt is installed back over the vehicle correctly, and from here the next thing which I'm going to do is to apply tension to the timing belt. And the way to do it is to take a 50mm key and an Allen key, and you'll have to turn the tensioner clockwise until the little arrow from the tensioner will go between the hole from the tensioner. So just take that in mind. This little arrow should be going into the right side, right into that little hole, right between it. And after you see that it is right into the middle, you'll have to hold it still and then tight it to spec with the 50mm key. Right here, the timing belt is installed and tensioned correctly over the engine. From here, the next thing which I'm going to do is to tighten all the bolts and all the screws to spec right here over the tensioner. As you can see, the little arrow is facing perfectly the middle side of the hole from the tensioner. So this is meaning that the tensioner is installed correctly, and also the timing belt is tensioned how it's supposed to be tensioned from the factory. Right now, the next thing which I'm going to do is to tighten all the bolts to spec. I'm going to put right here over the screen all the specs for all the bolts, and then I'm going to remove all the locking tools. I'm going to turn the engine at least 3 times over, and then I'm going to lock it again. And if it's locking it again very easy without any adjustments, this is meaning that the timing belt kit is installed correctly, and I can go ahead with installing all the parts and starting the engine. In this moment, everything is tightened and secured to spec. I will go ahead, I will remove all the locking tools, and I'm going to turn the engine at least 2 or 3 times to check if the timing belt kit is installed correctly or not. Very good, everybody. So as you all can see, the timing belt is installed perfectly and 100% correctly over the engine. All the locking tools are going in and out very easy. The locking tool from the camshaft and from the crankshaft are going in and out very easy. From here, I'm going to give 45° to the tensioner, and then I'm going to install all the parts and start the engine right up to see how everything is working with all of these things being replaced. Right here in this moment, I installed all the parts which are providing me power to start the engine for the first time. So let's just hear it for the first time after the timing belt kit replacement. So as you can see, the engine started quite up. It's running great. It's making a very weird noise because all the hoses are disconnected and everything is disconnected. But other than that, it's running great. It's running as it's supposed to be working. And from here, I'm going to install all the parts back over the vehicle, and I will come back to show you all how everything is looking and working after a job like this one. Alright everybody, so as you can see, the job is done. I installed all the parts, all the hoses, I installed the coolant, everything is installed and ready to go back on the road. Those are all the things and all the steps which you have to do and follow if you want to completely replace or remove the timing belt kit along with the water pump from any VW Jetta out there with the engine 1.9 Tdi. Thank you all for watching. If you like the video and found it informative, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment and a like down below. See you next time.